The Pasadena Doo Dah Parade.
You're making this up with your mouth and your brain.
As Greg so hostilely put it, you may or may not have heard of this one before, but the Camptown ladies sure have. Doo Dah. Doo Dah. This one was born out of a type of response we're all too familiar with here on the podcast to the other parades we've been talking about, rejection. The year's 1978.
Punk was in full bloom.
The youngest 1978 had ever been, in particular, January 1st, 1978.
Oh yeah, baby.
The location is Cromo's Bar and Grill that had opened up on April Fool's Day the year before at 120 West Colorado Boulevard. Now, this part of Pasadena at the time was not a great part of town, but had become a sort of artists' colony filled with famous and starving artists and tons of bands, and Cromos was a sort of hippie bar hub for some of these guys. A note written on the wall of the men's room said, Cromos has a way with God's unwanted.
Oh, that's fun.
And also call this number for a good time.
It's God's number, though.
So it's January 1st, and it's a Sunday. The day was supposed to be the traditional day of the Rose Parade, but like you said, they have the ancient rule, never on a Sunday.
That's the sound of the parade coming down the road.
Oh no, the Rose Parade's starting. And it's got attitude. Not on Sunday because it would have frightened the horses and the people going to church in town. But times had changed, and the patrons at Cromos saw that there were no horses around anymore, and they were joking around, what a tragedy it was. There's no Rose Parade. Oh, what are we going to do? But people were already camping out for the parade that was going to take place the next day. So the stage was all set, and being the artistic types that they were, they couldn't resist making the most of that. So, in front of about 125 people on the street, the patrons of Cromos and their friends put on an impromptu little parade of their own. They marched from Pasadena Avenue and Green Street to Colorado, then to Raymond, and then to Memorial Park. It was just a bunch of weirdo artists walking down the street, like a guy playing a violin in a spider costume, one guy in a cowboy hat playing Jimi Hendrix songs on an accordion, and then at the end of the parade, they gave an award to a water tank. They all had a good time and had no expectations of ever doing this again, but then people got to talking about maybe having another one the next year. But this time, there was a little bit more intent to it. It was decided that it would be a mockery and opposite to everything that the road parade was.
Wow.
A twisted sister, they called it.
No!
Twisted Sisters, running wild in Pasadena. There would be no theme to it, no marching order, first come, first serve, just utter chaos contained by sidewalk. None of the weirdos and freaks in this part of town would ever be let into something like the Rose Parade, so they made this one open to anybody who wants in. You can come and be a part of it. In the early days, it was referred to as the Other Parade, but eventually, in reference to this really strange and very cool, obscure British band from the 60s, the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. We'll put up some songs by them, which are a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are.
They decided to call it the Occasional Pasadena Doo Dah Parade. Occasional because the date that it's held is not usually the same, nor has the location been many times, although it was always in Old Town Pasadena somewhere. And it can't be called annual because there have been times where there were two in one year and none in another. For example, the second one ever was the same year, 1978, but on December 30th. The best way to give an idea of what this parade is all about is just to list some of the participants from over the years.
Okay.
To start, the parade is traditionally kicked off by the band Snotty Scotty and the Hankies.
Okay.
How rude. Then come groups and participants like the Evangenitals, Flying Babies Cornhole, Toaster Car, Easy Acres Chicken Sitters, the Barbecue and Hibachi Grill Team who cook hot dogs as they march,
Oh, I love that.
Code Blue DeFibs Medical Satire, the Army of Toy Soldiers, Flying Baby Naptime Aerials,
Wow.
the Eunuch Band, Bearded Ladies, the Lounge Lizards, who are a bunch of guys dressed as lizards in evening wear who push a piano down the street and play Frank Sinatra songs.
Guys dressed as lizards.
Yeah.
Not our overlords.
They're not, finally, they just want to be a part of the fun and they're revealing themselves. And they're not worshiping the greatest of all Illuminati members, Frank Sinatra. If you look closely, he isn't on the dollar bill. Don't worry, he did it his way.
You beat me to it!
Which is now all of our ways.
Which is the only way.
There were also the Partying Parrot Heads, Man as Giraffe, the Recumbent Revolution, Highland Park Gentlemen's Club Thursday Evening Circuit Benders,
What's our nickname?
the Human Pool Balls,
Cool.
Didgeridoo King Kong and the Hallelujah Chorus, which was a group of basset hounds in choir robes,
Gimme!
Kinetic Pastry Science Mobile Muffins.
Did you write this? You're making this up. Like, are you?
I just plugged in a word generator. You'll like this one. Howdy Krishna.
That has to be a howdy doody thing, right?
The LA Mud People, who actually seem really cool, who one year had a young Leonardo DiCaprio as a member.
Really?
The Klingon Assault Group, the Synchronized Marching Briefcase Drill Team, who were a bunch of guys in suits doing elaborate moves with briefcases, and they were a huge favorite at the parade over the years, so much so that Jackson Browne was once a member, and he used some of them in a music video, but for some reason in 1992, people were sick of them, and they started spitting on them and throwing tortillas at them.
Let me think of who might have been doing that.
Supporters of this show, the LA Derby Dolls, Crime Beau the Clown, Grand Marshal of 2008 and great admirer of Greg's Charles Phoenix, the Church of Ornamental Lawn Decorations, and the parades are closed out by Secret Santa. The ninth one in 1985 brought about the ban of animals in the parade after a donkey ran into the crowd. Ee-ah, doo-dah, doo-dah.
The band, the animals?
Eric Burden can come, but the rest of the animals can't. The 13th edition in 1989, they decided instead of a parade to just do a pub crawl instead.
Okay.
The 15th one in 1990 was broadcasted with Richard Simmons, but in 1993, with the 18th go-around coming up, the parade was starting to get some mainstream popularity, so they decided to charge admission to watch it. $7 in advance, $10 at the door. This parade route would do laps around Pasadena City Hall, and it was a huge disaster. The commercialization of it had destroyed the freak show and traffic vibe of it, so from then on, they decided to try not to control this parade and just let it do what it does.
Yeah.
And the growing popularity of it made it bigger than the group that created it was able to handle. This meant that Peter Apanel, who one of the original founders of the parade and self-appointed Doodah Czar, put the parade up for sale. He said it was only worth $1, but a Pasadena-based nonprofit's art group called the Lightbringer Project bought it for $1.50. So the
solid purchase.
so the
Got 50
he had
cents
to give him
back.
change back.
Yeah.
So the 19th parade in 1994 was co-produced with Lightbringer and the original guys back at the original route. It was also televised on Channel 13, but the 20th one in 1995 was now fully Lightbringer, also televised, but the televising proved to be a disaster too because the TV station was trying to contain the madness in a format suitable for TV. that killed the magic, so they stopped doing it. They don't broadcast this. One of the other major orders of business Lightbringer added was the creation of the Queen competition. There had always been queens of the Doo Dah Parade on and off, like Martha Fruit in 1981, who had her queenship challenged by a guy named Pipe John Herman, who declared himself king in front of her. Fruit then punched him in the face. But it was never a standardized thing until Lightbringer came along, which look to the dollar bill and you will see the Lightbringer. All hail Sinatra.
We did it his way.
We did it his way. And now please swallow the Jack Daniels. They created an application process to become queen, which takes place at the American Legion in Pasadena every November. You can go watch for $5, and it's basically a talent show where 15 to 20 applicants get 3 minutes to sing, dance, tell jokes, or whatever they do in front of the judges to prove that they're worthy. Anyone's welcome to try. You can be a woman, you can be a man, you can be a man dressed as a woman dressed as a man, transgendered, you could be a child, you can be an animal. Some animals are still welcome if they're queen. In 1997, a guy submitted his wife's ashes to be considered under the name Queen Lily of the Hereafter. They went with conjoined twins that year instead.
Oh, not
fair.
even a dead lady wins?
Some of the constant hopefuls to be queen are Pinball Lizard, another high-ranking member of a certain group, world champion whistling diva, the naked opera singer, the Swami from El Monte, American with Disabilities Act Wonder Woman, Cookie the mind-reading dog. Here's my favorite one, Count Smokula, who's a Yiddish Dracula who plays the accordion.
Oof. Fanning myself right now.
This parade is everything that we strive to be.
How are we not honoring kings and king and king?
There are no kings. There are only queens.
Well, then
and
fine.
If there's two bigger queens in the world, I don't know.
I can't think of any.
Last year's crown, which is always made by the previous year's queen, went to Veronica Meow Meows. Another big change by the Lightbringer came in 2010 when they decided to move the parade out of Old Town Pasadena for the first time because they felt the area was becoming too gentrified, so they went to East Pasadena, which still had more of that original vibe from the 70s. Another thing that was added was the Thorny Rose Award given to Pasadena's most controversial citizen, who is the most vocal voicer of a cause or opinion. It's not a regular thing, but the first one was given in 2000 to a Charles Chernus, and the last one was given in 2009 to Ann Lau for protesting the Chinese float float in the Rose Parade by having a human organ harvesting by China recreation in front of Rose Parade headquarters.
Whoa, that's a thing? Why didn't I read about that?
You got to know the right websites. The Thorny winner is invited to receive their award at the parade and be driven along the route. The parade's gotten more family-friendly over the years, but it's also gotten more renowned. A Reader's Digest named it America's best parade. It's in the book 50 Places You Must Visit Before You Die. In 2005, the Discovery Channel did a thing on it. The Clintons, future losers to Trump, the Clintons, are big fans of it. There have been imitation doodahs popping up around the country in Fawn Skin, California, Columbus, Ohio, and Ocean City, New Jersey. There's even a parody of this parody parade started in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is a perfect place to have a thing called a doodah parody. But weird and sometimes annoying as this parade is, it gives the area's stranger people a venue to express themselves in a fun way and let their alter egos run loose for a day. It's a day of reversals when you can let go and not have to be yourself. Dr. Denise Lawrence, who's director of the Center for Visual Anthropology at USC, classified the Doodah Parade as a rite of reversal, which has been a part of many societies throughout history, which gives the community a day to come together and celebrate diversity and differentness. If you want to celebrate that, anyone's welcome to apply to take part in this parade, and usually around 1,000 people do. If you're not strange enough for that, you can still watch it. It's free to watch, and over 50,000 people do every year. The 39th one is taking place this November 20th at 11 a.m. The parade route now goes along Colorado between Altadena Drive and San Gabriel Boulevard. The official after party is at the American Legion at 179 North Venedo Street, and there are several unofficial after parties at the Colorado Bar and Pooh Bah Records. I remember I went to this a long time ago, like in the 90s, and I remember being really freaked out by it. My dad really wanted to go, and I was not ready for that strangeness.
His square son.
Can't we go to the Nixon parade, Dad?
God. I think Gene Krupa's going to be somewhere. Can we just... Is there some sort of Gene Krupa con?